In this video, I'm gonna redesign the Honda S2000 into a car that could be built in 2023, still using the same old proportions but adding new graphics, front and rear, new wheels, new diffuser, and add a little bit more line flow in the body of the car. So the Honda S2000 was in production from 1999 all the way to 2009, 10 years of production. It started life as the SSM concept, which stands for Honda Sport Study Model, at the Tokyo Motor Show back in 1995. And the SSM was a rear-wheel drive roadster powered by a 2-liter inline 5-cylinder engine and was designed by none other than Pininfarina, and you can definitely tell by the timelessness of this design. And if you ask me, the SSM looks better than 90% of all new sports cars today, even a quarter of a century later. It was constructed with aluminum body panels and featured a perfect 50-50 weight distribution. The concept appeared in several auto shows for years after its introduction in 1995, hinting at a possibility of a production version, which Honda finally announced in 1999. The production version was launched on April 15th, 1999 to celebrate the company's 50th anniversary, and the name comes from its engine displacement of 2 liters, carrying on in the same tradition that the beautiful little S500 and S600 and S800 roadsters of the 1960s. And if you look at the early sketches of the SSM concept, they were actually showing more of a modernized version of the classic roadsters with soft rounded surfacing and round headlights and taillights. However, the production version turned out to be more in line with the more modern design and edgier design of the SSM concept. And this is one of the main reasons I think Honda should consider building a successor to the S2000, because they have a long history of gorgeous roadsters, and it would be a shame if it ended with the S2000. Several revisions and facelifts were made throughout its life, including changes to the engine, gearbox, suspension, interior and exterior details, and officially 2 variants exist. You have the initial launch model, which was given the chassis code AP1, which is very similar cosmetically to the facelifted version known as the AP2. Some of the major design changes, you can tell these two apart, include new front and rear lights, new front bumper and rear diffuser. You also have larger wheels on the AP2 and some interior changes as well. The big changes to the AP2 happened under the skin, with significant changes made to the drivetrain and the suspension. Production of the S2000 closed down on August 19th, 2009, a very sad day, and that's why I want to bring it back here with this redesign, with a modern interpretation of it. The S2000 featured a front mid-engine rear-wheel drive layout with power delivered by a 2-liter inline 4-cylinder VTEC engine. It produced 240 horsepower and 161 pound-feet of torque, connected to a 6-speed manual transmission. All the ingredients you want for a proper sports car. The AP2 version of the S2000 came out in 2004, and as I said, you had some changes to the front bumper, the diffuser, the wheels and so on, but also some retuned suspension to reduce oversteer. The Honda S2000 was known for its exceptional specific power output of about 124 horsepower per liter, or about 2 horsepower per cubic inch, which is the highest of any mass production naturally aspirated engine car, and it could also rev to over 9,000 RPM. It also featured an innovative X-bone frame, which Honda claimed improved the vehicle's stiffness and collision safety. Now, looking at this redesign and what's going on here, as I said, I wanted to keep the original proportions of this car, because when I look at the 1999 AP1 S2000, going and looking at how close that is to the SSM concept shown in 1995, and keep in mind that 1995 was the same year that we had this Chevy Monte Carlo in production, so it feels to me like the S2000, the SSM concept in specific, was way ahead of its time, and this is a styling trend that we saw in the SSM from '95 that comes back now with Honda, for example, in their new models that I talked about before, the S2000, the CR-V, and so on, the Prologue. It has this clean look, and the S2000, the AP1 even, the 1991 model, looks like it could be a Honda of today as long as we update the graphics of the car. So what is it I want to do here? As I said, I wanted to add more features, more graphic features to make it look more modern. I want to have a side indicator that is integrated in the body, have a cutout of the body through the front wheel well, have a cutout from the front wheel well, and then fit a LED light inside of that. I think that would look really cool, and that line that we have in the cutout would then follow into the shoulder line, and then the shoulder line is going to connect to the top corner of the tail light, creating more line flow in the design. And I also noticed after making this redesign that the changes I made here was pretty much made in the AP2 redesign or facelift, and that is the rear bumper. I want to have a connection to the beautiful line that we have in the lower part of the side. I want that line to continue into the bumper and have a connection through the rear wheel arch into the rear bumper, and also work with the lower part of the rear end. So a new diffuser. I actually took a diffuser from the BMW M5 and shrunk it down a little bit to make it fit, and also connected it with the existing diffuser parts on the side of the rear end in the corners to make a nice flow and integrate the diffuser in a nice way. The taillights, Honda, Honda is known for keeping things very simple. Maybe not the last decade with the Civic Type R, the previous generation. That was peak overstyling for Honda. But now, looking at the new Civic Type R, they're definitely reducing the overstyling features in their cars. And I want to have very simple graphics for the new S2000 while still keeping them very identifiable when you look at this. If you saw this car at night, I want you to instantly know and recognize the taillights being a Honda S2000. And I think having this curvature that we have here with a sharp corner in the far outer corner would look very cool, and also have that line from the LEDs also connect into the bumper with a chamfer. They kind of have the foundation on which the taillights rest upon. I think that would look really cool. The brake light in the deck lid, I want to remove that. I know we need to have some sort of brake light in that position if this were going into production, but fortunately it's just a rendering. So I want to reduce that brake light and just have a bit of a wave or a tiny ducktail that marks the end point of this design. I don't want to have it be too intrusive because it's such a clean design otherwise, that I just want to have it slightly noticeable as the end point of the car, specifically when you look at it from a side view. Wheels, make them obviously a little bit bigger, a little bit wider tires to plant it properly onto the ground. And that's my redesign of the Honda S2000. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.